So people ask me all the time, what do you actually do? Is it just like posting on Instagram and Facebook? Is it a part-time thing? Does it actually work? So today I am going to show you all of this. This is what a real week looks like in my business, and it's not the highlight reel version, okay? It's the actual version. I am holding nothing back tonight. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you're here. If you're watching live, please go ahead and drop a comment and let me know that you are here, where you're joining from. I absolutely love seeing that. And if you're catching the replay later, welcome too. I am talking to both of you today. Nobody's missing anything. If you are catching the replay, though, do me a favor and drop a little hashtag replay in the comments. Before we get into it, though, if you were on my live back in June, some of this might sound a little familiar because we're going to circle back to one of the things I talked about then. And if you weren't there, you've just seen pieces of things in my post, I want to lay the whole thing out for you. So stick with me either way. We're going to have a great time tonight and just chat through what's really happening. So here's what we're doing today. I'm going to walk through what a real week in this business actually looks like to me, the time, the flexibility, how I actually talk to people about it. I'm going to answer the I'm not a salesperson objection because I do that one a lot, constantly almost. And I'm going to revisit our summer pilot program because that offer is still open. And I don't want anyone to miss out on that just because they weren't around when I first talked about it. So, no hype today, just an honest look at kind of what this actually is. The biggest misconception that I get is where I want to start. It's the thing I hear more than anything else. I don't have time. And here's my honest answer. I really work about an hour or 2 hours a day on this on average. Okay, hear that, on average. Some days it's a little bit more, some days it's way less or nothing at all. Some weeks are heavier, some weeks I barely touch it. This business is so flexible that it fits into the life that you already have. You don't have to fit your life around it. And I want to be really specific about my own week because I think vague answers don't really help anyone. I work more than a full-time job outside of this. This isn't my only thing, although I would be doing it all the time. I do this in the evening. After that full-time job is done, and I also do this some on weekends. But right now in the summer, I'm actually doing even a little bit less than usual because I'm traveling a lot, which I love. And this business is still running, right? Customers are still being taken care of. It still works. And that's the whole point here today. This was never designed to be something that takes over your life. It was designed to kind of fit inside the life that you already have. The other objection that I hear constantly is I could never do this. I'm not a salesperson. And I want to push back on this because I don't think it's true. I don't think this is really about sales. Think about people that you're already around, right? Your church group, the other parents at school pickup, your book club, people you see every week at your kids' sports practices or games, the groups that you're already a part of in real life and on social media. You already know these people. You talk to them. Um, and this isn't about walking up to strangers with a pitch. It's about talking to people you already know about things you already love. If your friend asks you what mascara you're wearing and you tell her, that's it. That's the sales part. If in your book club mentions that their skin's been dry and you happen to know exactly what would help and you tell her, that's it. You're not selling, you're just being someone people can go to when they have a question because you already know things and you're already in their lives and their existence. So that's really all this is at its core. And if you know me, you know that I am the furthest thing from a salesperson, right? First of all, I'm introverted. All right. I hate and nightmare level dread of just walking up to random people and being salesy, right? And starting a conversation. And being salesy makes me feel really gross inside. I genuinely just help women with their skin and makeup needs, and that's what I really enjoy about this. The sales, excuse me, the sales that I make are just kind of icing on the cake. I also want to be upfront about the money side because I think people assume that there's some catch or some long wait before you see any results on this. You can actually start earning immediately, just by sharing your website link, right? There's no activating order that you have to place first. There's no quota you have to hit before you're allowed to earn something. You start at a 30% commission right out of the gate from day one. Once you become what's called an active consultant, which just means that you've reached a certain amount in sales, and let me tell you, it's a very doable amount. It's not some outrageous, unattainable number. Your commission then goes up to 50%. So it grows as you go. You're never stuck waiting for some far off milestone before you see anything for your effort. Okay, I want to spend a real second on this as well because I know not everyone here was on my June live, and I don't want this to be something that just lives in old posts that you might have scrolled past or an old live that you didn't catch. The summer pilot program is still open. Okay, it's a low barrier way to actually just try this out during the summer, and at the end of it, you can decide what happens next. Here's what that looks like in real life, right? You begin with what's called the e-start, okay, and that's $35. For that, you obviously get your consultant ID, but in addition, you also get a fully branded website. You get your own online store. It's ready to set up and activate that same day. And it's basically the click of a button. It could not be simpler. You get welcome materials as well, the current products catalog, and you get sample sets for the products that you'd actually be sharing. Um, Further, you get access to apps and tools that support you. So your store is live and you can start sharing your link with the people in your life right away. And like I said, you're earning 30% from day one on anything that sells through that website. Um, Not some waiting period that you have to go through, right? It's immediate. So as soon as you share that link and somebody purchases off that link, you are earning 30% from that. There's also an optional add-on Pro Start for $90, which gets you retail size products to actually sample out and some party supplies. It is over $400 in retail value. So it's a really good deal. And you can add that on anytime in your first 15 days if you decide that you want more to work with, but it's completely optional. The $35 e-start is a real complete way to begin. And it's honestly actually how I started as well. And I want to be honest about the numbers too, because I don't want, to promise you something I can't guarantee. I don't think that's very fair when people do that. Obviously, what you earn depends on what you put in, right? That's true of any business. So to give you a sense of the math and how the math would work, the materials I share with women include an example based on about 4 hours of work in a week. Okay. And it's compiled of two experiences with a handful of women at each. In that example, the product experience, right? Um, the estimated sales come out to around $600 for that week, which at 50% would be around $300. And that's an example of what's possible. Again, not a promise what will happen for you because obviously every situation is different. Every get together is different. It could be more, it could be less. It's just an example. It's an average of what we typically see, but it gives you kind of a sense of what is. And one other thing I think that's worth knowing as a self-employed consultant, you're you actually get some tax benefits as well. You can deduct a percentage of things like your phone, your car use, your home office space, things like that, which it's a real benefit. And a lot of women don't factor it in when they're weighing out this option. So I wanted to just mention that real quick. Obviously, your tax consultant or your tax advisor can tell you more about what all of that is. But there are those, kind of additional we'll call them perks that not everyone thinks about when they think about this. You also don't have to keep an inventory to do this either, okay? Customers can order, again, straight from that website link. It ships directly to them. You never have to touch it. I love that about Mary Kay. They handle a lot of that stuff for us. Some women, like myself, choose to keep a little product on hand because it does tend to help with same day sales. And as you build your customer base, right, you can kind of make that decision. And that's what I did, right? I started very small. But now that I have customers who are repeat orders, I know what they're going to order. I carry that on hand so that I can service them right away. Um, and there are also free product bundles available in your first 3 months if you want to go that route. But again, completely optional. So now let's talk about what it looks like day to day, because I do want to paint kind of a real picture, because I think a lot of hesitation really comes from imagining a version of this that doesn't really match reality. This isn't hosting parties in your living room every weekend if that's not your thing. Okay. For me, most weeks it looks like a couple of texts back and forth with someone who asks what to use for a breakout, or a quick voice note, answering a question for a customer, a Zoom skincare session, or Google Meet I use as well. Some evenings after I wrap up kind of my full time job duties and then dinner, family. It includes posting something honest on social media and having someone message me because it resonated with them. And it's following up with a past customer to see how a product's working out for them. It's small, doable things spread across the week that actually has a week that already has kind of that full time job and life already accounted for. It's just, again, those things kind of sprinkled in with the remaining time. So, if any of this is making you curious, even just a little, comment curious in the comments here, and I'll reach out. No pitch, right? Just a real conversation about whether it makes sense for your life, because everyone's life is different and this isn't for everyone. I know that. I would never try to push this upon someone who it wasn't right for. But we can take a look at your life and see how it might fit in for your specific situation. So I would love now to answer any questions that you might have live here in the chat. So go ahead and drop them below, and I'll get as many as I can knocked out. And if I don't get to your question tonight, I'll of course um, reach out and answer your question or post them in the post the answers in the comments. Let's see. I thought I saw a couple pop through here. Yes. Okay. Michelle, hey, is this one of those MLM things? So Mary Kay is actually a direct sales company, okay, which is different from an MLM. I build relationships. I do consultations. I help people find products that work for them. And with direct sales, right, I can be just as successful as somebody else simply by selling the products. I don't have to build a team underneath me to get, that 50% active commission or that 30% commission. You don't have to have that team under you, which is the big difference, right, from an MLM. Now, if I want to build a team, there is additional income opportunities for me as well, just from their sales. And the other really distinguishing factor about this is that, like a lot of MLMs, right, will take a portion of that consultant's commission out to pay me, right? If I was a recruiter, Mary Kay actually just values all of their sales staff, and they actually pay us commission. They don't take away from that consultant. That consultant still gets their 30 or 50%, depending on where they're at. And Mary Kay actually pays my commission. So really different than your typical kind of MLM structure or a direct sales company. But honestly, the label matters a lot less, in my opinion, whether the work feels meaningful to you. And for me, it really does. So I see another question here from Amy. How much time does it actually take? So it really depends on what you want out of it. And I love that about this company as well. Some women do this for just a few hours around their family. Others build it bigger and put more into it. And some people actually work this as their full-time job, right? Like their only thing that they're doing. That's not me. I work it, in the additional hours that I have throughout the day after my full-time job. And that's the great thing, right? It's generally flexible to your life, not really the other way around, right? Where you have to kind of fit it in, right? And it's flexible by season too, right? There's been times in my life where, and when I've been running this business, when I've had to take like a solid 2 months and do nothing except for the bare minimum, right? Which might be like servicing some existing customers that needed products, right? I wasn't like actively talking to new people or sharing things on social. Like I was out of commission essentially, and my business still ran, and it was here for me when I got back. And there was no pressure from the company or from anybody else to do more. So it really does kind of sit around what you have going on. All right, and Renee, hey, do you have to sell to your friends and family? So you don't have to sell to anybody, right? I mean, you pick like where you start with this. Obviously, the most obvious place is to start kind of where your relationships already are. That's just a natural thing. Um, but if you feel icky or gross or weird about asking your family and friends, you don't have to start there. You can start, with people that are in your groups on social, right? Or you meet at the supermarket. It really just depends on where you want to start. I started with some friends and family, but your reach really does grow from there because you then meet people through people, right? And most of my customers now are people that I've never knew before I started this. And I love that about the business too, is I've gotten to meet some really, really great people through this opportunity. So let me just check again. I think I captured everything that I saw come through. But again, if you think of anything, or if you're catching the replay, go ahead and drop a comment below, just checking all my screens here, making sure I didn't miss any from some other source. But if you're watching the replay and you have a question, drop it in the comments. I am here. I will respond. I see them. Or if you think of something after the fact, drop it in the comments or reach out. I'm really an open book here. I won't hide anything. I have nothing to hide. I love sharing this with people who are interested. So before we wrap, though, I would love for you guys to take 2 minutes and fill out my super quick feedback form. I'm dropping the link in the comments right now. And everyone who fills it out this month gets entered into my monthly drawing. So there's really zero downside to sharing your thoughts on this, regardless of if you caught the live or replay. Go ahead and get that filled out for me. It really helps me to bring you guys content that you're interested in. So that link is live in the comments now. If I've said anything today that resonated with you, message me or comment here. I would love to just talk and figure out whether this makes sense in your life or not. But until next time, everybody, keep shining, and I will talk to you all soon.